Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining us, and welcome to the second episode of our podcast. How are you, my friend?
I am doing amazing. How
Excellent.
are you?
Man, I'm great. This is going to be a great podcast this week. Thank you once again to everyone for joining us. We hope you enjoyed the first episode of our podcast. We got a few views, and we appreciate each and every one of you. Like I said, we're going to be doing this, or at least attempting to do this, every week. So now that we're on week 2, I think the chances are definitely much more likely. So this week we're doing things a little bit different, and I want to kind of get a little bit more structure to the podcast. So we're going to go ahead and start off with just a couple of news headlines, because you're a working guy. There's a lot of other folks out there who work and maybe didn't have time to check out all of the headlines for gaming related news over the week. So we'll just jump right into it. So the first one is Rocket League. You ever heard of it?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
I believe everybody has.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, how could you not have, right? So Rocket League finally went free to play.
An amazing move.
Yeah.
An amazing move. And I'll tell you why. Because I believe the game, it captures such a broad audience. Soccer is one of the most widely played games in the world.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think it just captures that like really unique audience between the gaming world and then the sports world.
Well, and it's a competitive game that isn't a shooter, right? And nowadays, really, if you look at competitive games on Twitch or anything, they're mostly shooters, right? So that's why games
shooters and MOBAs,
MOBAs too. That's the other one. That's a good point. So anyway, so here's some. I was just talking about Twitch. Here's some really interesting. There's some really interesting stats. So there's over there's over 1 million concurrent players. At the time that I wrote this, which was this morning, there was over 1 million people playing it at that time. There was an esports tournament going on, which made it the 8th most viewed game on Twitch, and there were 80K people watching it. And on that one particular tournament, there were 50K people watching. That's huge.
That's big. And for it to be able to compete with these big name games like Call of Duty, Fortnite, Counter-Strike, it's very interesting because it has such a high skill gap.
Oh yeah.
That a lot of these shooter games don't necessarily contain.
And it's a different skill set, totally different. And the esports, the people who are good at these types of games are totally different. I think it's fascinating, and I think it's phenomenal because it's about time that Rocket League gets the respect it deserves. Personally, I'm not a huge Rocket League player, but I have played it over the years, and it's a great game, and it's really cool to see all of those people playing it because, man, what a success story. And a lot of that has to do with, I don't know if you knew this, but they partnered with Epic recently. It's on the Epic Game Store now as well. It's all cross-platform and everything. It's pretty amazing. Yeah. So here's a story that I'm very interested in, and I think you're going to be interested in. Have you heard about Dreamhaven?
I have, and I am excited. Very excited.
Excellent. So for those who don't know, Mike Morhaime is probably one of my favorite people on the face of the planet. He's
the OG, man.
Yeah, he's one of the OGs, the original CEO of Blizzard, co-founder of Blizzard Entertainment. Obviously, a huge influential studio to us. So he's making a new studio with a bunch of other guys, and I'm sorry that I'm not going to list all of their names, but Mike Morhaime's kind of the big one. But a lot of dudes from StarCraft, Hearthstone, just all former people who have left Blizzard basically since Blizzard became Activision Blizzard. They've created 2 new studios, Moonshot and Secret Door. I am insanely excited about this news, and I just want to hear your thoughts about it.
So my big thought, and I imagine a lot of people are going to have this same idea as well, is we're going to see a next big MMO.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to see, but it's going to be, I believe it's going to be very unique.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with a guy like Mike at the running head, he's going to want to create that very unique, never seen before experience in games we've kind of seen, like with New World, and there's the other one, I forgot the name of it. I think I'm prepared.
That's okay.
Ashes Creation, that's what it is.
Ashes Creation.
And games like that, they're following kind of the script, I'd say, of MMOs, where they just want to make, it's basically like a loot. You just loot, gear up, whatever. Because that's what we kind of saw with New World. I was a little disappointed with it as well.
For sure. Yeah.
It just, it provided a unique combat and the crafting and all that, but it was still the same concept of you just gear up, you level up, and I want to see them go sideways. I don't want to see them go for the kind of, this is what we do every time kind of MMO. I want to see something way different.
Well, and what we're going to see, I think, from them, it's a really great point. I think we will definitely see an MMO. I think the reason there's 2 studios is because there's going to be at least 2 games. And I think one of those is more than likely, I think Moonshot is a reference to the fact that they're shooting for the moon and they're going to make something, that's huge, right? That was my first thought from that.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, Secret Door, I imagine, is the studio that's going to be doing something, kind of a little bit more crazy, maybe a little bit more inventive. I will say that all of the people that I've seen on this studio, like, I have a feeling that this is just going to be passion projects. A lot of these people left Activision Blizzard because they saw it become more of a business and more of a corporation, which is funny because the way that Activision started, I didn't know this, but the way that Activision started as a company was originally it was a bunch of people who left Sega way back in the day when it became too corporate. So they went and founded Activision to be more passionate about their games, and look at them now, right? It's kind of
funny how that went.
It's kind of funny how that works. So anyway, Dreamhaven, I'm very excited about that. A really interesting thing, Asmongold, another WoW creator, I don't know if anyone's familiar with him, he has invited Mike Morhaime onto the Allcraft podcast, which is the biggest World of Warcraft podcast by far. And I'd be very interested to see if A, Mike goes on there, and B, what he says if he goes on there, because Asmon and Rich and them, like, they have clout. They've done that at BlizzCon. Like, if they're gonna get Mike on anything, it's more than likely gonna be Allcraft. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. So, if we were to invite Mike Morhaime onto our podcast, I do not think he'd show up.
First of all, he wouldn't reply, but yeah, he would definitely not show up. All right, so another quick headline: Path of Exile. That game is still around, and there's a new league.
That is another passion project that I'm glad these next two topics are so.
These people just don't give up on their games, man.
No, and they just a lot of game companies don't do that anymore. They kind of count their losses and they say, oh, well, let's just try and move on to something else.
They're in it for the money.
Exile was not that popular when it first came out. It was around the time when Diablo 3 was in its height. Mm-hmm. Everybody was playing that. Everybody was having fun with that, and then they tried to release this very Diablo-like game in the midst of that, and it's like, wow, well, why did you do that? And then years down the road, here it is, one of the most successful, if not the most successful Diablo-like game out there today. And hundreds of people play it. Yeah, a lot of people stream it.
Well, and that's what's crazy to me is that I can't tell you how many of these leagues that I've seen over the years, because they're just not giving up on the game, and each one of them is adding unique gameplay. I'm not even really necessarily talking about what the league is. It's just, to me, it's fascinating that, like, here we are in 2020 and the game is still getting updates. By the way, it's on the Epic Games Store now, so there's even more people playing it.
If you also aren't they developing Path of Exile 2? Isn't that a thing?
Yeah, so that's a very interesting point, because it's not even like they're making a new game. It's just a huge engine rehaul. Like, they're just kind of
that's what it is, right?
As far as I know, I might not be up to date on that, but yeah, they are. And I thought that was going to come at the end of the year, but obviously COVID's kind of changed everything. So, but I believe the original plan was 2020 for that.
Yeah. I remember saying that a while back.
So anyway, Path of Exile, really, really great that they're still around. Another great game that's still around. This one took me by complete surprise. No Man's Sky has come out with another huge named update. They've had the named updates over the years. I don't know any of them off the top of my head, but Origins is what this one is called. And basically, just to give you the one sentence version of it, is it just completely changes the way that the worlds are created. It adds more stuff. Basically, there's more plants, there's more NPCs, there's more stuff on the planets. Like, there's just, everything is more densely populated. There's more variety. Like, I showed you the trailer yesterday, and they basically redid their original trailer where they're like, everything is procedural. And when the game first came out, it was like, okay, and it was like, all right, we could see the dream there, but now it's really, really, truly. I was playing it a little bit this morning, and honestly, it's next level.
Yeah, I definitely have a few things to say about this game. For me, this game honestly holds a very special place in my heart. I bought it on release day. I was so hyped. I walked down to GameStop. I lived right downtown.
Nice.
Walked right down there. I bought it for $60. I was so excited. I got home, played it for about 4 or 5 hours. I was like, man, they got us, didn't they? I was just one of those guys. There was so much promise, and it just wasn't the thing I was looking for. It wasn't what they thought. It's not what we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I returned it.
Would you get like $5 back or what from GameStop?
Yeah,
$5.
I think I got $20 store credit actually. But I waited, and then this game company, Sean Murray and his dudes, never gave up, and it was so beautiful because I bought the game again, And then I lost that copy, and I bought the game again. I bought this game 3 times, right?
Yeah.
Worth every single penny, because I can't tell you how many endless hours I've sunk into that game.
And what's crazy about it is, you mentioned when it got released, the fact that it was disappointing and whatever. They went radio silent. I don't know if you remember, but they didn't literally say anything from like launch day for like 3 solid months. They said nothing. And then the first thing they said afterwards was like, well, give us some time. And at the time, everybody was like, yeah, right.
Also, by the way, this is a funny fact. I don't know if you know this, but about half the people quit that studio.
Yeah.
After it tanked so bad at launch, most of the people left the studio.
Well, because they don't want it to ruin their reputation. I mean, that's got to go on your resume, right? If you're trying to be a game developer, so it's insane to me to watch this game over the years, because I'm in the same boat. I purchased it on PlayStation and it was disappointed. I bought it digitally so I couldn't return it, but then I repurchased it on PC because frankly it's worth it. And nowadays in 2020, I would say that this game is very, very close to what they originally set out to do. And when you first played this game, when I first played this game, I would say it wasn't even close. It was like a shell, it's like all of the bones were there, but none of the meat was there. So really happy that they're still going. What do you think?
Yeah, it's super exciting to see them, and it's so exciting to see that they just keep adding on to this amazing game, because it only gives the game more publicity, because I want more people to try this game now. I feel bad for the people that tried it at the beginning. Yeah, I was one of those guys, but to play this game now, it's such a good, it's a AAA title.
Well, and what's interesting is I was reading a story the other day about how Sean Murray is supposedly talking about his next game. And I bet you when this game first released, he was not talking about his next game. So the fact that he's even thinking about releasing another game again really just shows you how far it's come. I would say from me, if anyone needs a good recommendation for a weekend chill game, the fact that there's cross-platform multiplayer now, check No Man's Sky out. It's literally like $20 on Steam. Like you can find it for like next to nothing. Definitely worth checking it out.
Heck, you could launch it in the background and just hear the noises, and it'll still be a very satisfying game.
Yeah,
because the music and the ambient sounds of that game is amazing, and I've gotten lost literally like hours from my ship just wandering around, exploring planets. It's amazing.
Yeah, definitely check out No Man's Sky. Maybe we'll do a little something where we like shout a game out every week, like a recommendation or something. Maybe do that like once a month, just giving myself a little note here. So the next game is Call of Duty Warzone. That game's not going anywhere. Season 6. I remember when there wasn't even a season. Dude, what's funny to me about these seasons is they're like a month long, and to me a season should be like 3 at least. I think these seasons are down to like 2 months now. They're like 50 something days in Warzone. And to me, that's crazy. It's great that they're putting content in the game, but to me, it's crazy. That game hasn't even been out a year and we're on season 6 already.
Yeah. And it's really interesting to me that all the battle royales do that now. Yeah. I believe Fortnite was the one that started it.
Oh, it was. Yeah.
But it was definitely a great like platform,
Yeah, for sure. Well, and this one, the only reason I really wanted to bring it up is because they're adding a whole subway system to Verdansk, which is the map. And to be honest, I couldn't remember if any other BR has done that. I know Apex has the train and Warzone has a train as well, but they're literally adding tunnels and a subway system underground. So not only is there the above ground thing, but there's now going to be a full subway system underground. I thought that was cool.
That's really nice. I really liked in Apex where they had the train. Blew my mind.
The loot train. Yeah, and I could be wrong, but I haven't played Warzone in a hot minute, but I'm pretty sure Warzone has something similar to that as well now. So it has the one on top, and then it'll also have the one down below. I just thought that was kind of interesting. Personally, I play Call of Duty, but I only play multiplayer these days. I don't really play the Warzone. I kind of lost interest.
Yeah, I played Warzone once or twice. I mean, I get the concept. I'm just not much of a shooter guy anymore.
I get it.
I played a lot of Modern Warfare when,
man,
it was so fun. Gunfight.
Cold War. I'm telling you, Cold War is it, man. I'm excited. So here's a really interesting one. You've heard of Among Us, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Everyone's heard of Among Us because it's probably the most popular game on the freaking face of the planet right now. So here's a really interesting thing I'm not sure if you knew about, but he canceled the second game. He announced it and then canceled it.
Yeah, well, a really interesting thing about Among Us, it came out over 2 years ago.
Yep. Uh-huh.
And the most concurrent, they never had enough players to form a full 10-person lobby, right?
Right.
And so 2 years later, it's trending on Steam, hundreds of thousands of concurrent players.
Everyone is playing it.
Everyone's playing
the creator
it. So
universe.
It's not a bad idea for this guy to kind of. And it's, I mean, they're doing it for a good reason to concentrate on updates and
right,
maybe like new maps, like just keep doing that, man. Add maps, add new features. Like people are going to play the game because they want to play the game, and it's a fun, chill game to play with your friends, you know.
and that's
And
sort of
it's content machine.
absolutely.
Content machine.
Well, and that's what I think is funny is Among Us and Fall Guys are two games recently that we've seen that are small studios. Not so much Fall Guys, but this Among Us is literally like a guy, I'm fairly certain. And you don't need amazing graphics or even really insane gameplay, right? You just need a fun, unique idea, and it has to be fun to play. And that's, if you watch these people playing Among Us, it just looks like they're having fun. The game looks really simple. The gameplay is really not that complicated. And the idea isn't even original. That, I think it's called social deduction, is like that style of game, but that's not remotely original. They're not the first and they won't be the last people to do it, but they're the number one on Steam right now. They're number one on Twitch. So like, what does that say? And I think it's really, I think I'm agreeing with you. He's doing the right thing. There's so many people playing it right now. And when he first saw those influx of players, it's like, okay, let's maybe work on a sequel. But I saw the graphs of the servers about how many people are actually playing it, and it's actually like, it's insane. So it makes sense why he would rather just say, okay, let's the project in front of me right now, let's work on that. So bravo to that guy. I personally, I don't have enough people to play it with to play it.
Yeah, I'm the same way there. I don't think there's any like public matchmatching or anything, so you just kind of like all invite each other. I
agree with you. It's a content machine, and I have enjoyed watching people. I was watching a lobby the other day with people that I don't ever normally watch. In fact, some Twitch streamers that I will just tell you right now I don't like. I'm not going to say their names, but I was watching the stream anyway because it's a really entertaining game to play or watch rather. And when you're watching people that you do like I was watching S-Fan and he was playing with some other folks, and I was like, no, some folks that I didn't really care for. And I was like, man, this is still interesting to watch anyway, because it's such a fun game. It's so interesting. All right, so that's our little news section. So we're going to try and do that every week. If anyone has any news things that they would like to hear us talk about, we're just it's just going to be a brief little thing. We're just going to cover some headlines in the start of the podcast. If anyone has anything they'd like us, any news stories or whatever, go ahead and at me on Twitter, leave a comment down below, something like that. So we're going to go right into the next section, which is how was WoW this week? And I'll go ahead and let you start, but I'm just going to describe it really quick. Basically, we're just going to talk a little bit about what happened in WoW this week. You're just going to talk about basically, did anything good drop for you? Did you have any big achievements? Did you, I don't know. Did you get
drama?
Yeah, like there you go. Whatever, man. Go ahead, take it away.
Well, so let's just start out with AQ40. So I imagine some people watching, I don't know if you guys are doing AQ40 yet. I know a lot of people aren't to that point. I imagine AQ is not even open on some servers yet, which is still surprising.
Oh man, hold on.
I'm very serious, yeah.
I know you can check, and I'm not going to, but like, are there seriously some servers out there that don't have it yet?
Yeah. There's several EU servers that opened this week. It was pretty funny.
Wow. All right, go on.
But anyways, Lan, so my guild, we're struggling. We are struggling. And from my perspective, we're not that much of a hardcore guild. We do get world buffs. We're being consumed, but we don't really care about anything else. We don't care about raid comp. We run 3 fucking bear tanks, So it's just very... And it's frustrating for me as a player who wants to play that more hardcore lifestyle, where I just want to be a meta slave, like that's where I find the fun in the game. A lot of people don't find fun in that,
Sure.
But so AK40, yeah, we are struggling. We can't get past Twin Amps. And everybody said that's the biggest. Twin Amps and Vestigious, those are the 2 big guild checks, pretty much. And we're going to go try after BLDO tonight to see if we can try it again. But I've seriously considered leaving my guild and going towards one of the more hardcore guilds, I'd say, that actually has cleared this content, that are willing to chase the meta, chase the raid comp. And
shout out to Old Blanchy, by the way, for having... seriously, we're a medium... People say we're a low to medium pop server. No, we're a medium pop strong server. And we have multiple, like, progressive or, like, progressed raiding guilds. So, like, shout out to Old Blanchy.
Yeah, there's not much of if anyone's never played on a server like this, there's not much leveling community below 50.
Sure.
But there's a very healthy raiding community. Everybody shows up for the raids.
Well, everyone's already leveled. That's the thing. There are people who are leveling, but the majority of the server is raiding. Yeah.
Yeah, I did get Conqueror's Boulders this week. Well, I got the rep item 4. I just got to get the rep now, which is super exciting because they're bis for the rest of the game.
That's what I'm talking about.
Lovely looking shoulders.
It totally messed up my my thumbnail, by the way, because I totally thought you could wear them, but whatever, it's fine. It'll work.
Yeah, no, I mean they're in my bank, so it's like
you have the item.
Surprisingly, I was one of the only Fury Warriors in the guild going for them, and there's also why I kind of want to leave my guild, because after I've been doing an MC Pug with another guild on our server who has a Thunder Fury main tank. They've been raid clearing content since first month of Classic. Yeah, and it's just the attitude and the atmosphere more serious. So much more serious. Everybody knows exactly what to do. Nobody's lagging behind.
Right.
There's no random AFK bio, oh my dog's at the moon or something, like it's always got to be something with
and that's why there's it's lucky that we have multiple guilds on the server that are raiding, because we have enough people that we can facilitate casual people as well as the hardcore. There's a nice big spectrum. Well, it sounds like, I mean, that's
fun. And I found out there is a small group of people ranking on the server. There's 8 people going for Grand Marshal.
Dang.
Only 8. And I imagine these people from these the higher pop servers are pretty surprised, because on higher pop servers you have 50 to 100 people you're competing with to get Grand Marshal. No, we have 8. If I do decide to go for it, I'll be number 9.
Right. So everyone can take a number, like at the
just have to you all just get the same amount of honor. Say we just want to get 200k honor this week, which we can get rank 14 with, which is insane. Again, you people in these larger servers are going to be crying.
Right.
The honor cap on Faralina Horde is over 1 million.
Oh my goodness.
Over 1 million honor. Disgusting.
Oh boy, there's a few people in the comments who are going to be a little mad. That's okay.
Yeah. And so, I met some of them last night. I actually ran into their pre-made.
Cool.
I joined an AB. Well, no, they didn't want. I'm too low rank for them.
Oh,
because I'm only at rank 4 right now. But I ran into their pre-made. I went into AB. I'm like, why is everybody in my server? And then they're all marshals, field marshals, commanders. I'm like, what's going on here? I found it.
I found it.
Secret layer.
Just stumbled into it.
Well, these are the things that are never talked about in looking for a group in trade chat. They're deep in server discords. Like they're very secretive about what they do. They don't want people.
It's one of those if you know, you know.
Breaking. Yeah, exactly.
So wow, damn. So it sounds like you're having a pretty eventful week in WoW. That's great. Yeah. This is why I thought this will be a really interesting section, because I think we're always both going to have something to talk about. During the
What about you? You do anything? Exciting?
This was actually a huge week for me. Did Upper Blackrock Spire for the first time. I got to level 57 on my priest, so we are getting there. Let's see what else. I've gotten a bunch of pre-raid bis. Not like the best pre-raid bis, but I'm on the list at least, because there's 4 or 5 items for each slot, and so I have at least one of those items for a good at least about half my slots right now, which is pretty good. That's pretty much it. Yeah, and in terms of World of Warcraft, I mean, I'm just trying to get the priest to 60, and I'm trying to. Yeah.
I also forgot how to tank General Dracasath.
Oh yeah, that was fun. We did an Upper Blackrock Spire literally before the podcast today, and wiped twice. We wiped twice.
Well, we wiped on the trash before.
Yeah, and we wiped on the
We wiped on track because apparently, and then I messed up the bowl both times actually, because apparently I just forgot how to do it.
Yeah, well, that's okay. We ended up, it was fine.
Yeah, we cleared it. It was a very resilient group. It was
that group was great. I mean, at that point we were literally right there, so why not? We've been together for so long. But yeah, so that's my biggest thing in WoW right now is I'm trying to get my priest to 60 and try and stay focused, because I have kind of ADD and sometimes I have trouble focusing. So, but yeah, I'm trying to get to 60 and pretty much a lot of mine, yours is more interesting than mine, because mine's pretty much I was leveling in Winter Spring for a while, and then we did BRD. That was my week.
Yeah. So you've done the MC attunement, right? You're attuned for all of them?
No, I haven't done the MC attunement actually yet. I've done the Ani. I have to go to Winter Spring for the Ani attunement, and then I've done the BWL attunement, and I have not started the MC attunement.
Oh, dude, the Winter Spring it drives me crazy.
Oh, does it? Like, that's where I was gonna go, but I didn't realize that I had to do that after the Stormwind part. So that was right before the Upper Blackrock Spire, but we had already formed the group. So I was like, well, I'll just run it and I'll go do the Winter Spring stuff later. Because
there's going to be this cheeky little jump that I think you have to jump twice.
Oh boy!
Because you have to. I know you have to go to Winter Spring, talk to the lady, and then go back to Winter Spring at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just have fun with that one.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that'll be fun.
I'm sure the viewers know what I'm talking about here. Who's ever done
Speaking of viewers, I do also for this section, for all of our sections, if anyone has, hey, if you got a funny wow moment or something, I mean, eventually we'll probably have enough folks that we can just pick one, to kind of shout out or whatever for the week. Go ahead and let us know in the comments below. Just kind of what happened for you in WoW this week that is noteworthy. Did you get Hand of Rag? Like, come on, let's make it a community thing. We're building a community.
If you got Maladeath, I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah, if there are certain things like, hey, we don't want to know, but
I don't want to know about this. If you get any sword drop, I don't care.
Yeah. All right. So here, so we're gonna do that every week. So we're gonna start with the news, and then we're gonna talk about WoW, and then we're just gonna go into like kind of a general talk, and that's kind of where we're at now. And I have some questions lined out here, and the first one's actually WoW related. This is not a coincidence. This was a stream of consciousness thing, but it's been something that I've been curious about because I experience a lot of downtime in World of Warcraft, not just like, I've done my 2 mob pulls, I need to drink to regen my mana. I mean, like sometimes, like from Stormwind to like Fellwood is like a 20-minute trip, right? So like, what I'm curious for you as someone who plays a shit ton of WoW, and I also do, so I'll have something to put in here. But what do you do during your downtime while you're flying? If you're looking for a group or if you're just whatever.
This is what I've been doing recently. Because I fly I always take my Hearthstones in Stormwind, and I farm in Eastern Plaguelands. That's
that's a long flight.
20-minute flight, right? Yeah. This is so funny because I just said something about Maladeath. I open up Atlas Loot, and I stare at this fucking sword for probably 30 seconds, and then I just alt tab. I usually just watch YouTube videos. I just alt tab right to YouTube. Especially if I'm waiting on a group, if I'm a DPS and we're waiting on like a tank or a healer, and I don't do dungeons much anymore, but
sure, yeah.
When I would literally just alt tab because it pings you when they message you. So it's like, other than that, yeah, it's a lot of alt tabbing, a lot of staring at loot that I'll never get. Talking in guild chat. I also do shit posts a lot and looking for group.
The guild chat, that's actually really helpful. Now that I am in a guild now that has a few folks in it, that does help just in general because there's like, I like looking for group on our server is pretty good most of the time. Sometimes it's just shit posting, so I turn it on and off regularly. But having that guild chat going is really kind of nice.
Oh yeah, and especially I'm. That's why I don't want to leave my guild right now because I've gotten really close with all these people. All these people know me. Like I'm second on the invite list now, next to the goddamn GM.
Dude, it's a small server. Well, it's not small. It's like I was just saying this today. Like it's
more close knit.
It's like a small town. It's like you see people that you know all of the time. So like you just end up seeing everybody everywhere because we're all kind of doing the same stuff and everyone plays kind of around the same times anyway. So like I swear every time we get in a group or something, I'm seeing the same folks. Which is great. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of the alt tabbing. I listen to music or I, get on Twitter or Reddit or something like that. But I've also I've been getting or looking at like different idle games to play on my phone because you can't really sit there and play those games. Well, you can just pick it up, look at it for a few seconds, put it back down. Because I have the 2 monitor setup as well, so like I can just alt tab over to my second monitor.
Right.
So sometimes I'll have a stream going or something like that, but or YouTube.
Yeah.
I do.
I sometimes just when I'm grinding or farming or something, I'll literally just have a stream up in the background and just listening to it. I don't really need to watch it, especially if it's a guy like Salvador or Peo, people like that. I can just listen to them talk and joke, and I'm playing the same game as them. I don't need to watch them play WoW.
For sure. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right on. All right, cool. I just kind of wanted to hear your thoughts on that one. So here's the next one that I kind of already know the answer to, but I feel like this will be a really good talking point. Is because we're getting there, it's about to happen in the next few months, but PS5 or Xbox and why?
Oh, PlayStation.
Yeah,
definitely PlayStation for me. I've just always been a PlayStation guy. I always really like the Sony exclusive. I always think they have the better exclusives. I like their Plus deal.
I was going to say the Microsoft buying Bethesda deal though, because a lot of people say, oh well, the PlayStation always has the best exclusives, but now that Microsoft has Bethesda, by the way, they haven't said that those games are going to be a Microsoft exclusive yet, but
I don't think they will do that. I don't think
so
a lot
either.
of people are saying they're going to go that route. I don't think they'd. Bethesda, like, I don't think they'd want to lose out on that money on that.
Me neither.
Because when you make your game a console exclusive, you're losing. I'd say it's about 50-50. If I were to take a wild guess, I say 50% of people play Xbox, 50% of people play PlayStation. Now, I could be widely wrong, but I'm just based on what I know, and it just seems 50-50. I ask somebody, hey, what do you play? Xbox, PlayStation. It just always kind of happens that way.
Right.
So you're losing half of your customer base by making it a console exclusive.
I think the most that's going to happen is those Bethesda games will come to Game Pass, but you will be able to purchase them on PlayStation. I think that'll be. I think that'll be able to happen. So it may or may not be a better deal because Game Pass is a great deal, but yeah, I'm with you, man. Personally, on PlayStation, like for both of us, we basically went PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and then we got a 360, and then that was where it diverged. Go ahead.
And then I went to PlayStation pretty much right after that. I think I got a PS3 sometime during that.
Yeah, see, and I went personally. I went to the Xbox One after that, from the Xbox 360, and then I did get a PS4, but it was after I'd had the Xbox One for a while. And I'll be honest, my play now is PS5 and a PC. That's it. And my wife loves Nintendo, so we have a Switch. But like for me, it's comparing the Switch to the PS5 and the Xbox. They're not the same type of console, right? But at least they're not anymore. They used to kind of compete together, but I would say that Nintendo's not competing with Xbox and PS5 anymore.
No, they have such a big customer base, and people die-hard Nintendo fans.
Yeah, so
they'll never have to compete. Honestly,
are you getting a launch PS5?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
Nope.
Me neither.
Because I'm not that kind of guy. I'm not itching. I'm not dying to play it. I barely play my PlayStation nowadays.
I think the folks who are the folks who don't have a PC. You and I both have a PC. And I think the folks who are really going to be launch PS5 or Xbox owners are going to be the folks who don't. Their only gaming system is that, right?
And there's a large variety of people that do that. They do is they just play consoles, and that's great. And those will be the people buying it day one. But I'm just rather wait, you know.
Yeah, if you look at the little PS4 compared to the launch PS4, or I think it's the Slim. Is the one I have. It's like the last one that they made, basically the last like base PS4 model, compared to the original PS4 model. Yeah, I'll wait, man. And I think it'll be worth waiting personally.
Yeah, I also want to see, because I'm just gonna get the digital version, right? Because I think everybody's on the same page there. Why would I spend another? What is it? $100?
It's literally $100. Yeah,
for what? You know, like a CD port.
Well, it's
I guess maybe for people that have bad internet, people that don't have internet.
If this every game nowadays, I'll give Call of Duty for a good example. I own the disc for Call of Duty for PlayStation 4, okay? And it almost doesn't matter because it's almost more of an annoyance. I just have to put the disc in every time. But having the disc doesn't really do anything for you because you still have hundreds of gigs to download anyway. Go ahead.
Yeah, a lot of people, it's like a sentimental value. Like maybe they really like this game and they like having the box, or people like buying the exclusive editions, or like I've
been digital for a long time, and at this point, like when they announced that both Xbox and PlayStation announced that they were going to have a digital version, I was excited. Although Xbox is interesting because their digital version is actually less powerful as well.
I saw that too, and I was really curious about it because the PlayStation one, they're similar, or they're the same.
It's more of a budget model too. Is what's interesting is that it's like $200 cheaper, whereas the PlayStation is just $100, but it's the difference between the CD drive and it's not a CD drive. It's a Blu-ray player, which to me, I don't know why that takes $100, but whatever. They probably just round it up.
So we're Blu-ray movies anymore, you know.
Yeah,
I mean, everything's so digital nowadays. It's just weird.
And I think it's because we live in the city now, and we have
I can download something.
I was about to say, like, we have 100 megabit, and so like for me, like the only reason I'm hesitant about the digital is because Sony's network has always let me down. In other words, like I've never gotten my full download speed, hardwired or not, off of Sony's network ever. just literally ever. So I'm a little worried about getting the digital only version for that. However, I will say this: I've been digital only on like my PC and for my game consoles quite literally my entire life. At this point, right? Like I've always just downloaded stuff. So I've used Steam on PC. Like I've just, like for me, digital just makes sense. So when both game companies said we're making a digital only version, I was like, thank God, because that's for me. I was going to go with that as soon as they announced it. I didn't even. It could be the same price, and I was going to get it. Honestly, I was just hoping.
Thought about the used games.
Oh yeah,
and I say half the games I bought them used. Right, you can't buy digitally used.
So people have brought up this whole point about what is GameStop going to do? Their whole market is selling games on disc.
Yeah.
Like if you don't need to go to GameStop to go physically pick up a game, which the writing has been on the wall for this for years, right? I mean,
COVID happened, they almost went out of business, so
I think they actually filed for bankruptcy there for a while. I don't know if they obviously they're still open now, but
because the whole thing, like people aren't going to leave their house, people aren't going to go buy games, they're just going to download them.
Right. So you aren't going to buy the launch PlayStation, but I know we both are going to buy one. I'm just curious right now, based on what you know, what is the game that you are looking forward to the most?
I forgot the launch game, the launch title. What was it called? Let me look.
Oh boy, there's a lot of them.
I know.
While you look that up, that's fine. I'll talk about mine. So this isn't the one I'm most excited about, like in general, but the one I'm most excited about right now because I've actually never gotten to play it is the Demon Souls remake. But then I just heard that there's going to be a Bloodborne remake. I don't even know that it's going to be a remake. It's going to be on the PS5 and like remastered. So like those are two games. Demon Souls I've never played. Bloodborne I haven't beaten because it's tough when it barely gets 30 FPS on the PS4. Godfall, yeah.
Godfall. I'm so interested in that game. It looks really, really good.
That game does look interesting.
What Destiny should have been, It just looks amazing.
Well, and I'm really interested in new IP at this point. Like, obviously, like the new games that are coming to PlayStation are cool, but like the new IPs that are coming are cool as hell too. And that was definitely one of them that I was really interested when I saw the trailer for. I'll have to look up more about that.
It looks so good. But other than that, not much has caught my eye. I'm kind of a picky gamer myself.
Sure, yeah.
Especially I'm the kind of guy, once I really like a game, that's all I'm going to play, like hence WoW.
Well, and I'll tell you what, I will more than likely, and I love that they're doing this, but they have the PS Plus collection that's coming to PS5. That's probably going to be, at least at first, where I'm going to be spending a lot of time, because that's just a lot of games that were greatest hits on PS4 that are just on PS5. You get all of them for being a Plus member. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So
they're Microsoft is going to have to do the same thing, obviously. They're going to have to, or something similar.
Well, they have Game Pass.
Oh, that's true.
I mean, so the way the Game Pass works on Xbox is you have to get the Game Pass Ultimate, which gives you Xbox Live as well. So like it's all sort of, it's actually Xbox almost even has the better deal because they have the whole Game Pass library as opposed to PS Plus is only going to be like a dozen games. I mean, they're great games, don't get me wrong, but
right, yeah, those are all AAA titles, and a lot of them I haven't actually played.
Well, and it's games like Bloodborne and Horizon Zero Dawn and like heavy hitters. Like there's literally PlayStation greatest hits. So anyway, so this is actually kind of interesting. We didn't talk about COD, but we kind of talked about COD earlier. So we always talk about this, you and I, so I kind of just wanted to get it on the podcast because we always have a really great discussion about this. And one of my personal favorite Call of Duty professional players, actually probably my only favorite one, the only one I know rather, Scump was recently talking about this. Skill-based matchmaking, what are your thoughts on it? I know your thoughts, but I just want to hear them go.
It sucks. It's terrible. Well, let me tell you why though. Because especially in shooter games, like I'm looking at you, Fortnite, right? Especially Fortnite.
Absolutely.
And they fixed this issue though. They did fix it, kind of. Because they did come out with a ranked system, right? And this is I always go back to this. You need a casual lobby where you have your people, your 10-year-olds, your 40-year-olds, your dads of 13 who have 1 minute of game time a week. You know,
yeah.
You need all those people together, and then you just play with each other, right?
Ping-based matchmaking.
Yes, ping-based or location-based.
Yeah,
has nothing to do with their skill. And obviously, people are going to shit on it. Other people, some people are going to be really bad, but that's okay because that's what that lobby is, right? But the rank system, it has to be, you have a visual rank, you gain points, you lose points when you lose, you gain points when you win. It's a very simple system. If you have more points than somebody, you're better than them. You don't play with people that aren't around your number of points. give or take 100 or 10 or however you do your numerical system. It has to be that way. It just has to be, or else you're gonna have people complaining about just getting shit on,
Right.
and
And
a lot of
me.
people,
Go ahead, finish.
a lot of people don't want to accept that reality that like, oh well, the casual playlist is just, we're all just gonna get shit on anyway. Like, well, yeah, that's okay. So play ranked, and you won't get shit on. You'll be playing with people your level. And if you're really truly at the bottom, then you have nowhere to go but up. You just practice and practice and practice. It's just it's just how you want to play the game. A lot of people play the game differently. So
yeah, and I mean, we've talked about this at great lengths before. Fortnite's a really great example because that's the game that we've kind of had the most issue with it. But my thoughts are exactly the same. I think there needs to be in a righteous world, like in a world that makes sense, every game would have a casual playlist that's like 90% ping based matchmaking and maybe a little bit of skill based in there, but like it's mostly just on your region and everything, nothing hardcore, no rank or anything. But then there needs to be also a ranked mode that is like only skill based matchmaking and clearly defines your rank. If you're skill level 1000, you're playing against people who are like skill level 950 to like 1050, and that's it, right? Like there needs to be a very specific rank. Everyone needs to be able to see my rank, your rank, everyone else's rank. We all know how much rank we get by playing, etc. Right? Like, anyway, I'm not going to beat a dead horse, but we've talked about that. So what's interesting about that point is that that's how Scump feels about it. And he said that on Twitter recently and got a lot of pushback. And I thought that was fascinating.
Because a lot of people are going to make the argument like, oh, well, there's still going to be Smurfs. There's still going to be people that go into zero rank accounts that aren't zero rank and just shit on anybody.
The biggest thing that I saw was that people were saying stuff basically like people want to go back to COD lobbies where you could just shit on everyone else, right? And that's not really the case. What I personally like, I'll give the example of Fortnite because personally, I loved Fortnite up until I would play Fortnite long enough to where my invisible rank went up high enough to where I'd be playing against sweats to where I would just get shit on long enough to get discouraged and not play the game anymore, or go back and play and get into these lobbies that are nothing but bots, right? You're either at one end of the spectrum or the other. You have bots and like 5 players in the lobby who all suck, or you have everyone who's playing like it's the Fortnite freaking championship series and should be playing an arena, right? And the problem with arena in that game is that it's really not a good in my opinion, arena is not a good ranked
because everybody starts at zero. It doesn't take, so they have the information about how good you are, your amount of kills, your amount of wins. They have all the information. They refuse to do anything with it.
Well, and people complain about like
their rank.
People complain about like the way Overwatch does it, but at least Overwatch has a rank system. I think that, me personally, I think Overwatch is one of the better representations of how it should be done.
Yeah, I believe it has a clean rank system, and it's very hard to smurf in that game.
Yeah, and
the game knows you're good.
It will put you where you need to be pretty damn quickly, and within a few games, like you might be able to smurf and ruin the game for someone else, but pretty quickly, you'll be where you need to be. So I thought that was interesting, and every time this conversation comes up, I'm always amazed at how many people are for skill-based matchmaking at this point, because I was one of those people who said skill-based matchmaking needed to happen. For a lot of games, but then when it did happen, I think the implementation is what screwed it up. I think skill-based matchmaking as a whole, like as a concept, isn't bad because you're basically playing against people who are around your skill level. But the way that most games, in my opinion, implement it is you're playing against people who are always just slightly better than you. So you always have to be sweating, as opposed to playing people who are around your skill level. You're playing people who are always better than you. And that just sucks. Well, and it sucks not having an option, right? It like Fortnite, for instance, like even in the base, not arena, not ranked, you are still skill-based matchmaking. You are still basically the same rank system of you just can't see your rank. And that's another thing that I hate, invisible rank. That's why skill-based matchmaking sucks to me. It's because you don't know, right?
Yeah. And the Fortnite model, the only reason it doesn't make sense to me is that in League of Legends, you go through a lot of games are like this. You go through your placements. It places you around where you should be. Now, Fortnite has all this information on you from, like, imagine you have a little Joe Billy right here, and he's been dropping 30 bombs, winning every single game, right? He's never played arena in his life. His first arena game, he's going to be going around with people 0 points. He's going to kill the whole lobby, And it's going to keep happening like that until you get where he needs to go. But he's going to be shitting on people the whole entire way. And so there needs to be a, like preliminary, okay, if you're this good, you start out with X amount of points and you set yourself right here where you need to be. You can't have a ranked model where everyone starts at 0.
Yeah, that just doesn't make any sense. And I think that the invisible rank thing is what sucks the most about it, because you have no way of knowing. And there's really nowhere, like Call of Duty is a great example. There's nowhere for you to go, like, if you want to be sweaty, there's nowhere for you to go. If it's like right now, it's like everyone's in the same pool, right? There really should be a pool for people who are experienced swimmers and who want to swim like it's the Olympics. There needs to be a pool for people who just want to splash the fuck around, right? I think that's a really good analogy.
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever.
Anyway, you need to have your willy-nilly lobby where everybody can just do whatever they want, and that's okay.
Well, people have a lot of games, older games, people have said, well, they didn't have skill-based matchmaking. They actually did. Like Black Ops 2, people say, oh, that was a good game. It had skill-based matchmaking. It's a fact, but it was different. It's not what it is. Skill-based matchmaking could be a lot of things, right? It means a lot of things.
So take this into consideration. There was skill-based matchmaking, because if you think about games like Quake, Doom Arena, shit like that. It's like Quake, you weren't getting into the servers if you were a shitter, right? Like they had this serious, they had clans, and that is a sense of skill-based matchmaking where you're not going to be able to play.
But there were casual lobbies that you could play in as well.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's a great model.
Anyway, every time I ever see that, I like to talk about it, because frankly, like I think skill-based matchmaking ruins a lot. I don't play Fortnite because of it. I mean, Fortnite's kind of dumb and goofy, but if there was just like a casual mode where you and I could go and hang out and play like we used to, that would be fun. But I'm telling you, that doesn't exist. You play Fortnite right now to play like you're playing in the FNCS because everyone else is doing that. And if you're not doing it, you're not going to have fun, because you're going to get shit on every game.
No, because you die. And I'm just not interested in playing Dying Simulator. I just don't want to drop and die.
Or get shit on by a 12-year-old kid who can build a 3-story thing in about 3 seconds. Like, I'm good.
There's gonna be that one kid in the comments, just get good.
Yeah, right. Okay. And you know what? And this is my friend. This is when we become boomers, because that's okay. I will, like, we're boomers now. That's okay.
That's okay.
All right. So this is we're kind of running on here, and I don't want to run into your raid time or whatever. So this is gonna be my last one, last question, and I kind of want to because I know you're not gonna play Shadowlands. Or you're probably not going to play it as much. But so right now there's a big discussion going on right now about tier lists. So basically, I don't know how much you know about the Covenant Soulbind thing, but there's what Blizzard came out and said is they didn't want to make a good, better, best situation, and they wanted to make it where it's a role play decision, etc. We all know that. Yeah. What?
I said, isn't that what they did though? They made it a.
So what I was about to say is that now that it's been out in the beta, there are tier lists out. And a lot of people are saying that the more hardcore community of World of Warcraft is kind of more or less ruining the game by making these tier lists. And I wanted to hear what your thoughts are about that. Because in my opinion, the tier lists aren't toxic. I think it's the fact that Blizzard is making a system saying what they're basically doing is the hardcore raiders are going to have to pick this Covenant and this Soulbind because it's going to be BIS, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of sucks, right? Because you are locked into those Covenants are a 1-week cooldown. You can't switch them, and you have to do a quest chain to switch them. You can't just easily go from one to another. Like it's incredible. I don't. You should do a little research. I'm not super up to date on it, so I don't want to sound like an idiot. But it's from what I've seen, incredibly punishing to those who are. Preach was made a good video about it. He said, for those of us who want to be BIS, we're being basically punished by those who couldn't give a shit less. It's sort of, we were going to talk about Master Looter, but I don't think we'll have as much time, but it was sort of like, Asmongold made a really good point. It's like the people who got Master Looter taken away have never done a Mythic raid and have never been affected by Master Looter, right? So I was just sort of curious about like what your thoughts there on all that is.
So yeah, my thoughts on this definitely, so the way I see it, I mean, and this is a big problem in Classic too.
Yeah, that's why I put that on there, because this is in Classic, very prominent in Classic, and I was curious if you think it's toxic as well. Go ahead.
So there's some people that play Classic every day, all day, and have never stepped foot in MC, never stepped foot in BWL, and they couldn't care less, right? They have their fun where they have their fun. And Preach did make a really good point where he said, if you want to be BIS, pump the numbers, dude, jam it, as much as you want, and they have that option. But you can't let the decisions of the people that don't want to pump affect your pumping.
Sure.
You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
yeah.
Like if I want to max out my DPS every weekend and go hard, like other people shouldn't have to be able to tell me no. Like, what do you mean no? What do you mean I can't? Fuck you. I'm going to play the game how I want to play, right? And so them putting these systems in the game were like, yeah, this is BIS. Your DPS is going to be lower if you don't do this. Like it's only harmful to those people that want to have top DPS.
What they're doing is that each one of these soul buttons are these abilities that you're going to be getting from these covenants. And so each one of these abilities, like for instance, one of them for the druids, I can't remember which one it is. I think it's the Night Fae, which is like the fairy one, which me personally, I'm not going to play. So that I think you literally cast like 16 spells over 10 seconds and they're all random or something. It's like an insanely stupid balanced druid ability. And it's clearly worlds ahead better than everything else. So what the point is, basically, if you want to get into a heroic raid, right, they're going to say, nowadays they'll say, okay, we're looking for this item level and you got to be this covenant with this ability. And people are saying, well, that's toxic for the game. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't necessarily think that's toxic at all, because you play the game how you want to play. You don't have to play with these guys.
Yeah, that's my thought.
If you want to make your own heroic raid, that you don't need to be BIS, you don't need to bring consumables. So that's perfectly fine.
I think Classic does it really well, and I think a lot of these folks could really take a lesson from Classic, and I think it's really great what we were talking about earlier, where there's guilds on Old Blanchy that are super hardcore, there's guilds on Blanchy that are literally just a bunch of boomers. So
Q's been out a month and a half, and we're still 3 bosses to go,
Yeah.
There's people that cleared it first week, and we still have both of our fun. The thing is, like...
Well, and so for me, I'm not one of those players. Like in Classic, I'm definitely a more hardcore. I want to be BIS, etc. In retail, like I'm not going to give two shits about. I'm going to take the Covenant that looks the coolest and gives me the coolest armor and has a cool ability. That's it. If it's not going to get me into a heroic raid, I'm not going to lose sleep at night. That's just my thought, honestly. And frankly, if there are people like Breach and Echo, the guild, and all of those guys out there who want to go ham and want to pump, as you say, absolutely. If they're going to put out a tier list of a good, better, best situation, frankly, it's not on them. It's on Blizzard to not make such a stupid system, frankly, because so the other thing too is they're bringing back legendaries. Do you remember Legion legendaries, where it was like there was clearly a BIS situation going on there and people said that was bad?
Yeah,
that's coming back, and it's literally going to be there's going to be, I don't know, a couple legendaries per class, but there's going to be 1 or 2 that are better than everyone else.
I like that system though, myself.
So what people say though is that it makes them feel, and this isn't me, I've read a lot about this recently trying to see both sides of it, but some people have said that it just makes them feel like, and I don't know what these people are trying to get, right? Because they basically are like, well, I want all of the legendaries to be good and there shouldn't be a BIS situation. So in my opinion, I'm like, so do you want just like 6 legendaries that all suck? Because that's what that means.
Yeah, if they're all going to have the same stats, they're just going to look different. That's what that means at that point.
Yeah.
Like, you know how goddamn amazing Thunder Fury is?
Yeah.
People tank with Thunder Fury up until the 2nd or 3rd rate tier of Burning Crusade.
Yeah.
That's how good that fucking sword is.
Well, and the legendary should feel legendary.
It should, yes. It should feel impactful, and it should feel like...
And I think...
Even if everybody gets one, who cares?
I think it
still matters.
There are too many folks nowadays who are too focused, and this whole argument, I think, for me, is wrapped up like this. There's too many people who are focused on like they think WoW is about doing the biggest numbers, and it's not. If you want to do the biggest numbers, then you should care about these things like tier lists and getting the best ability in BIS. If you don't care about doing the biggest numbers, then guess what? Just go play the game to get pretty armor and mounts and shit, because that's what I do. For retail, frankly, that's all I do. I could care less. Like, yeah. and if you're going to lose sleep over the fact that Gingy and the dudes over there at Echo are going to be talking about which one of the abilities are going to be better than others, and if that is somehow going to affect you getting into a heroic raid, then dude, blame Blizzard. That's not their fault. They're trying to pump, man. They're trying to go for world first. Like, and that's my biggest thing, is that I'm kind of on the side of the more hardcore players in this one, just particularly because on Classic, I get it, and I don't think it's toxic at all in Classic to say that one DPS is better than the other. I mean, if you care about being better than others, then play the better class, right? I mean,
pretty much 3 classes you can play in Classic if you want to be top DPS. It's like, and it's just the way the classes are designed. And if you don't care about that, then that's cool.
Yeah, look at Esfand, right? He's a very prominent WoW player. He plays Paladin. It's probably one of the weaker classes. They're good at healing, but he doesn't really heal. He's a tank and DPS. It's probably one of the worst DPS classes in the game. But does he care? No. He doesn't.
No, he has a lot of fun.
And he has a lot of fun, and he has a raid that is built around letting him DPS as Paladin because he leads the damn thing and whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, my argument with a lot of this stuff is just like, play the game that you want to play, because for me personally, that's what I do. I know that's what you do. You play the game how you want to play. I play the game how I want to play. I just hate when there are other people out there. This is how WoW got so casual in the first place, frankly. This is how we got to where WoW is now in Master Looter, which is what we were going to talk about next. We'll go over it really briefly. Asmongold, I haven't watched him. I started watching him recently because I think he makes some really great points. And a really good point that he made was that people who got master looter taken away had never actually gotten shit master looted to them or away from them. They've never been in a mythic raid where where it was a situation, right? They've just never, most of the people who were complaining that master looter was unfair have never, like, they don't like the concept. They've just never actually like gone into, and that was like, I've never been in a master looter situation, so I don't feel like I should have an opinion on master looter. But there are people out there who are like, well, master looter seems unfair. So, and it's the same thing with, go ahead.
Raids, and we use master looter every day in raids, and it only matters because there's no personal loot, and the boss only drops 3 pieces of gear, and those 3 pieces of gear have to be divided about. Well,
and 40. That's, again, this is how we got to personal loot in the first place, which is why and again, I don't like personal loot, but this is how we got here in the first place, right?
Yeah. I love Classics' loot system just because I've ran MC the past 3 weeks. I haven't seen a single piece of gear. I ran BWL the past 2 weeks. I haven't seen a single piece of gear, and I don't care. Yeah. Right? I'm not running it. I am running it for the gear, but I'm also running it because it's a ton of fucking fun, man.
Well, and again, I go back to you play the game that you want. If you want to get top end raid gear, right? But you don't want to have to top end raid for it. You don't get to say, well, shit, we need to make the game easier so that I can get the top end raid gear. No, you need to top end raid. That's not like it's, and I'm not like, I'm sounding super conservative for a second. I think that like, it's because I play both, right? I play retail and I play classic pretty heavily. So like seeing the differences between the two is kind of insane. And seeing that particular argument about the tier list where like in classic, frankly, that's what everyone goes by, right? That's just, it's accepted, but it's a very contentious topic right now in retail. Wow. It's fascinating.
Wait, so how would master looter work in retail? Is that even a thing?
It's not. No, it isn't. No, there's personal loot across the entire game. Everything. And Mythic Raid is all personal loot, and that's I hate that. I think it's stupid. That's because so weird. For me, I don't think it really gives you they put it in for a reason, obviously, because they want everyone to have an equal chance of getting gear. But like the main argument against it is that it sort of devalues the items, right? Because if everyone who runs the raid has an equal chance at the Thunder Fury, does it make Thunder Fury as good? I mean, if everyone has the same opportunity of getting the gear, they roll the same, right? Does it make it as good? But a lot of people say, well, master looter's unfair because people get to decide who gets the loot, right? So it's like, if everyone has the same, if you and I both have the same role and no one else gets to decide, then that's more fair. But it's also a little bit more homogenized because we each have the both same chance of getting the same piece of gear, right? I don't know. It's an interesting topic, and we could probably talk about it at length. But I always like to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more of a fan of you got 3 pieces of gear for 40 people, and let's just decide. You know, our guild, we just roll it. Highest roll wins, baby. Yeah. You know, let the luck decide. Let the dice decide. And some people, they loot council. Some people do DKP. It's just, you know.
Well, and so that's what's interesting is that it used to be an option. Nowadays, it's your only option is personal loot. There's nothing.
See, I wish there would be an option. It would make more sense, especially in mythic.
That's the point I was trying to make, because people got it taken away who have never actually done it. That's the whole point I was trying to make with the tier list thing.
People that wanted looking for raid never raided.
Yeah, right. That's exactly.
Why they wanted looking for raid, because they never stepped foot in a fucking raid because they couldn't find one.
Well, look at looking for raid now, right? It's a joke.
It's a meme. It's a meme. The content is extremely dumbed down. Yeah, it's randomized. A lot of people just do it just to get the mechanics down.
And it's really not representative even most of the time of like the actual raid, right? It doesn't really get you don't get good gear for the raid. You don't get ready for the raid. You do is you look at the raid, but like...
I believe it was like this in Mist and Pandaria, where the looking for raid was the normal difficulty. I could be wrong there, but I seem to remember it being like that.
Yeah.
Until they added the looking for raid difficulty, which was just so dumbed down. And once you got to the normal raid, you're like, wait, we can't do this, you know? Like,
yeah. So anyway, I follow Tips and Asmund and a lot of other like prominent WoW guys, and they always bring up the Master Looter thing. And right now it's because the whole Covenant tier list thing is coming out, and people are, you know, again, I think the WoW community just wants to complain sometimes about everything. People
are very, very complaining community.
The PvPers are going to complain about the Raiders. The Raiders are going to.
Well, it's the same thing in Classic, man. The hardcore people complain about the casuals. The casuals complain about the hardcores. You know, it's just play the game how you want to play. Have fun, man. And you shouldn't judge another player on their play style. Like, I saw a Reddit post on the Classic Reddit that an enhancement shaman was getting flamed for his gear because he had quote unquote warrior gear or rogue gear or whatever it was. And it's like, dude, why take the time out of your day to
Right.
complain about somebody else's loot on their character just because you don't have it? What?
Yeah.
Never made much sense to me. Because I see like when that guy rolled for that sword over me. For a second I was like, oh man, I wish I would have had it. But I was like, fuck man, I'm glad he got it. Because now I bet he's happy.
Right.
And I felt good for him.
I've definitely had to change my mindset about loot for sure, and that's a good thing. That's a healthy thing to do for sure. Keeps you in a more positive mindset for sure. I've been trying to be a lot more positive about the game recently for sure.
My loot just doesn't fucking drop at all. That's what I don't even lose the rolls. Shit just doesn't drop, man.
All right. Well, we actually covered everything. When I made this script, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't think we'd get all of it, but we covered everything, and that was amazing. It was an hour. That was a good podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, if you made it to the end of the podcast, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for listening to us ramble about some random stuff.
If you liked the podcast, feel free to leave a like and a comment as well. We love to read those and reply to those as well. If you're not already, we would appreciate it if you subscribed. It really does mean a lot. And like we said last week, if you
want to watch next week, go ahead and hit that subscribe button.
If by some miracle you still would like to watch us,
all jokes aside,
we appreciate all of the love and everything, and we will see you guys in the next week's episode. Thanks for tuning in, and Storian, why don't you take us out?
Everyone out there, be safe, be humble, tell your mother you love her.